Thumbnail sketching is hands down the easiest way to get into drawing without feeling overwhelmed. When I first started, the idea of filling a blank page with something perfect was intimidating, but thumbnail sketches changed that for me. They're quick, small, and totally low pressure, allowing you to play around with composition and ideas without worrying about details. In this video, I'll walk you through how thumbnail sketching can help you build confidence and get those creative ideas flowing, even if you're just getting started. So let's dive in and make sketching something fun and easy. Thumbnail sketching is a simple, beginner-friendly way to capture your ideas quickly without getting bogged down in the details. When I say thumbnail, I'm talking about small, rough sketches that are often no bigger than a couple of inches. The goal is to focus on the overall layout and composition, not to worry about making everything perfect or super detailed. And these tiny sketches are a great way to visualize different ideas before committing to a full piece. It's almost like creating a rough draft for your artwork, but way less intimidating. What I love about thumbnail sketching is that it gives you the freedom to experiment. You can quickly try out different compositions, perspectives, and ideas without feeling the pressure to get it right on the first go. Because they're small and fast, there's no attachment to any one sketch, which makes it easier to let go of perfectionism. Plus, since they don't take much time, you can create multiple thumbnails on a single page and see which ones feel the strongest before moving on to a more detailed drawing. It's an awesome way to build confidence and get into the flow of sketching without any stress. If you're just starting out with drawing, thumbnail sketching is an absolute game changer. One of the biggest hurdles I've seen beginners face is the fear of messing up or staring at the intimidating blank page and just not drawing at all. Thumbnail sketches totally take that pressure off because they're not about creating polished pieces. They're about getting your ideas out there quickly. Since they're small and rough, you're free to make mistakes, change things up, and experiment without feeling like you've wasted time or energy on a drawing that didn't turn out how you hoped. The beauty of thumbnail sketching is that it builds your confidence over time. With each tiny sketch, you start to understand the basics of composition, balance, and how elements work together on a page. You don't have to worry about making it perfect, just focus on getting the general idea down. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become with sketching, and you'll start to notice improvement in your ability to plan out your drawings. It's also a great way to get into the habit of sketching daily, without spending hours on a single piece. In just a few minutes, you can whip out several thumbnails and feel accomplished without getting overwhelmed. And when you're starting out with thumbnail sketching, it's important to keep things small and simple. I like to begin by drawing a few small boxes or squares on my page. Keeping your sketches tiny helps you focus on the big picture, like the overall composition and shapes, rather than getting lost in the details. The beauty of this is that you're free to move quickly from one idea to the next without feeling like you have to commit to any single one. The key is to not spend too much time on each thumbnail. I recommend limiting yourself to about 1 to 5 minutes per sketch. This keeps the process fast and lighthearted, which is perfect for loosening up and getting your creative juices flowing. Instead of stressing over details like shading or texture, just focus on capturing the main shapes and layout. Think of it as a rough roadmap for your drawing. It doesn't need to be perfect, just enough to guide you when you move on to the bigger piece. Keeping it simple is what makes a thumbnail sketch such a fantastic tool for a beginner. It's all about getting your ideas out quickly and easily. One of the great things about thumbnail sketching is that you don't need a bunch of fancy supplies to get started. In fact, you probably already have everything you need. A basic pencil and some paper are really all it takes to dive into thumbnail sketching. You can even use a ballpoint pen. If you're more comfortable using a pen, that works just as well too. Just go with whatever feels natural to you, and basically the idea is to keep things as simple and accessible as possible so you can focus on sketching without overthinking your materials. If you want to step it up a notch, a small sketchbook can be really handy. Personally, I like to keep a pocket-sized sketchbook with me for thumbnail sketching on the go. Having a dedicated sketchbook can help you stay organized and make it easier to track your progress over time. You might also experiment with different types of pencils or pens, like using a ballpoint pen for quick loose lines or a fine-tipped marker to make your shapes pop out a little more. The point is, you don't need to break the bank to start thumbnail sketching. Just grab what you've got and start sketching. Keep it simple is what it's all about, and it's one of the best ways to get into the flow of drawing. Now that you've got your materials ready, let's dive into how to start thumbnail sketching. It's super easy, and I'll walk you through it step by step so you can jump right in without any confusion. First, prepare your page. First things first, take your paper or your sketchbook and draw a grid of small boxes or rectangles. You don't need to be precise here. Just make a few spaces where your thumbnails will go. Keeping them around 1 to 2 inches is perfect for staying focused on the bigger picture without getting lost in details. I like to fill a whole page with these boxes so I have plenty of room to explore different ideas. Now pick a box and start sketching. For your first thumbnail, stick to basic shapes and forms. Don't worry about any fine details. Think of it like blocking out the rough idea of what you're trying to create. Maybe it's the layout of a landscape, the composition of an animal drawing, or even the general pose of a character. The goal is to focus on the arrangement and flow, not perfection. And the third step is to explore different ideas. And this is where thumbnail sketching really shines. You can try out tons of different ideas in a short amount of time. Fill each box with a slightly different approach. Change the angle or shift the perspective or rearrange elements to see what works best. You'll quickly discover what looks good and what doesn't without having to spend hours on each drawing. The more thumbnails you create, the easier it becomes to find a composition that feels right. And the fourth step is to practice regularly. Like anything in art, the more you practice, the better you get. Set aside a few minutes each day for thumbnail sketching, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day. Over time, this habit will not only improve your skills, but also boost your creativity. You'll find that sketching becomes second nature and you'll start generating ideas faster and more confidently. Sticking with thumbnail sketching can be a challenge at first, but once you've built a habit, it gets easier and more fun. One thing I recommend is keeping a small sketchbook with you wherever you go. You never know when inspiration might strike, and having your tools handy means you can whip out a quick thumbnail anytime an idea pops into your head. Whether you're on a bus, in a coffee shop, or just lounging at home watching a show, those few minutes really add up. Also, don't overthink it. Just start sketching. Sometimes the hardest part is getting started, but thumbnail sketching is all about lowering the stakes. You don't need to have a fully formed idea before putting pencil to paper. Even random scenes from your everyday life, like the view from your window or objects on your desk, can be a great starting point for thumbnails. The key is to sketch regularly, even if you're not in the mood for a full drawing session. I also find it helpful to challenge myself to fill an entire page with thumbnails. This keeps the momentum going and forces me to keep experimenting with different compositions and layouts. And if you ever feel stuck or uninspired, set a timer for 5 minutes and see how many thumbnails you can sketch in that time. It's a quick, easy way to keep yourself on track without feeling overwhelmed. Thumbnail sketching isn't just about getting ideas down quickly. It's also a powerful tool that can improve your overall art skills. One of the main benefits is that it helps you build confidence in composition and layouts. When you create multiple thumbnails, you start to see what works and what doesn't. You begin to understand how different elements on the page interact, how to balance shapes, and where to place focal points. These are skills that will carry over into your more detailed drawings and paintings and projects later on. Another big advantage of how thumbnail sketching speeds up your creative process is because you're working small and fast. You can generate and refine ideas in a fraction of the time it would take to create a full piece. This is especially helpful if you're working on larger projects or more detailed drawings. By starting with thumbnails, you're able to plan your composition in advance so you don't get stuck halfway through a piece wondering why something feels off. Thumbnails give you a solid foundation to build from, making the entire drawing process smoother and more efficient. Lastly, thumbnail sketching encourages creativity. When you're not worrying about making a masterpiece, you're free to try out wild ideas or experiment with different styles. You might discover new compositions or techniques that you wouldn't have thought of if you were focused on creating a perfect drawing from the start. It's a playful, low-pressure way to push your creative boundaries and keep your sketching fresh and exciting. Thumbnail sketching is such a simple yet powerful way to kickstart your drawing journey without feeling overwhelmed. It gives you the freedom to experiment, practice composition, and generate ideas quickly, all while keeping the process fun and low pressure. By keeping it small and simple, you can easily work thumbnail sketches into your daily routine and watch your creativity and skills grow over time. Whether you're beginning or just looking to improve your artistic process, thumbnail sketching is the easiest way to get started and stay consistent. So grab a pencil and let your ideas flow. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks.